Well, good morning, good people. Today we are continuing on Chapter 4 Vocab. We're looking today at what we call Chapter 4B, which is the second part of this chapter. You're used to our chapters being split in half. You know, we did 3A and 3B. We did Chapter 1 and 2A and then B. So not, anything especially unusual or out of the ordinary, but now you know that that's what we're doing today. We're starting on Chapter 4B. So I'd invite you right now to go find the original Chapter 4 vocab list where you filled out all the terms for the first half of this chapter. They were highlighted in yellow, so you should have all of those filled out. And we'll be moving on to, like I said, Chapter 4B today. All right, and so Chapter 4B is called, Chapter 4A was called ¿A dónde vas? ¿A dónde vas? Which meant, where are you going? All right, apologies if there's some background noise here. There's a lawnmower going right by the classroom door, or classroom windows right now. So it might be a little bit loud in the background for a moment, but hopefully you'll be able to hear me just fine. All right, so Chapter 4A was about ¿A dónde vas? Where are you going? And now we're going to be learning about ¿Quieres ir conmigo? Which means, do you want to go with me? So today you'll be looking at all the terms that are highlighted in green and filling those in as we go. So let's start with the first one, the one that you can see right now. El baile means the dance. The dance. So find el baile on the left side of your vocab list under the heading Las Actividades. It'll be under a bunch of yellow terms. It's around the middle of the list. But you'll find el baile. El baile. That means the dance. Okay, here we have el concierto. El concierto means the concert. All right, pardon the kind of crummy image here, but la fiesta means the party. This is probably one of those terms that's familiar to you. You probably know this just from maybe like watching Dora the Explorer or something you just know from life experience, even if you aren't a native Spanish speaker. Let's move on. Here is a word that looks like it would mean the party, but it totally doesn't. All right. I think many of us who didn't grow up speaking Spanish look at this and it sounds like it could mean the party. All right. El partido means the game. Right? And specifically here, like a football game, or we're seeing a soccer game here. All right. Like the game, or some people might like to know the match. Right, if there's a sport that you play where you actually don't call the time where you and an opponent face off in that sport, if you don't call it a game, maybe you call it a match. That's the same thing, el partido. It means the game or the match. All right, next we have jugar. Jugar. All right, jugar means to play. All right, to play. So I'm actually, go find this word on the right-hand side of the screen with its little box underneath it. All right, I'll give you a moment to find it. All right, you'll find it under the little box that had ear and all of its conjugations in it. I'm going to zoom in here, and we're going to write out all the conjugations of jugar. All right, so it goes oops, I made a typo right off the bat. Yo juego, tú juegas, él, ella, and usted juega. Nosotros jugamos. Okay, note that spelling change. There's no E in jugamos. Then you have vosotros jugáis. Jugáis. All right, notice also there's no E in jugáis. And then juegan. Ustedes, ellos, ellas, juegan. All right, so notice that pattern here. I'm going to change to a different color, highlighter. Notice that these words that I'm highlighting right now have that U in jugar changed to a UE. So this is what we call, and you're not learning this right now, I'm just mentioning this. This is a U to UE stem changing verb, all right? That's something that'll come up in the future, but I want you to know right now that it conforms to that pattern. You don't have to write this U to UE or highlight any of that. Just make sure you have the box filled in with the appropriate conjugations. Okay, so the thing you need to know about the word jugar, which means to play, is that when we're talking about all the different sports you might play, you'll need to say that you jugar, you'll use a form of jugar, and then you'll use al, and then you'll use the name of the sport. So jugar al béisbol means to play baseball. All right, notice the spelling on baseball. It's not the same as in English, all right? Baseball, baseball, all right? It sounds more or less the same, but it's spelled differently in Spanish to make it sound the same as in English, all right? So there's baseball. And then we'll also use that phrase for all of these other sports. Jugar al basquetbol, basquetbol, you'll guess. Jugar al means to play, and then basketball means basketball. All right. So if you look on your vocab list, you'll see it says jugar al, and then it just has the names of sports. So you can say jugar al means to play, and then baseball means baseball, basketball means basketball. Note also that basketball is sometimes called baloncesto, okay, depending on where you are. Basketball obviously is trying to sound like the English word basketball. Baloncesto literally means ball, basket, right? Balón means ball, cesto means basket. So it's basketball, but in Spanish instead of just sounding like the English word. All right, let's move on to our next sport. All right, this one could be tricky for some people. Football means soccer, all right? Or if you were British, you might call it football. In a lot of places around the world, it's called football for good reason. It's the sport you play by kicking a ball with your foot. So logically, it's called football. But of course, in American English, we call it soccer. So football is soccer. Football americano is football, right? Or what we sometimes call, to distinguish it from the other kind of football, American football, right? So jugar al fútbol americano means to play American football, or what we would usually call in the U.S. just football. Okay, this one's an easy one. Golf is golf. Go figure. Golf, all right? The pronunciation is different. That's the tricky thing, not the spelling. So golf is spelled G-O-L-F in Spanish, but it's pronounced golf, golf. Try that out with me. Golf, golf. Good, all right. Let's go on to the next one. All right, tenis. Tenis is easy too. Just drop an N, all right? Tenis is tennis. Okay, the spelling is phonetic. Again, I would ask you in English, as I've sometimes asked you in the past, why do we have two N's in tennis? It doesn't make any sense. We don't need two, but we have two. So tenis is pronounced a little bit differently, tenis, but it means tennis. Okay, here we have volleyball. Volleyball. All right, you can guess what that is. V-O-L-L-E-Y-B-A-L-L. In English, volleyball. But in Spanish, it's voleibol. I'd like to highlight the accent mark over the O in voleibol. Volleyball. Okay, next, moving on just past para and an infinitive in that gramatica section, is ir, a, and an infinitive. And this is a phrase we use to talk about the near future. All right, so if I say, so it means I am going to, or it means to be going to. Let me write that out. To be going to. And I'll give you an example, all right? I'm going to zoom in on this slide. So ir a infinitive means to be going to ... So what I mean by that is, if I said ir a jugar al baloncesto, that would mean to be going to play basketball. All right, but to give you a more practical example, because you probably won't use the phrase ir a jugar al baloncesto very often, you could say, yo voy a jugar al baloncesto. All right, yo voy a jugar al baloncesto. That means I'm going to play basketball, right? Like in the very near future, I'm going to play basketball. Somebody might ask you, what are you going to do after school today? And you could say, voy a jugar al baloncesto, to tell them the answer, right? So we'll practice this phrase, but to ir a and an infinitive means that you're going to do something in the near future. Tener, or tengo que, and then an infinitive means I have to. I have to, and then the infinitive. Right? So maybe you have to go to school. Tengo que ir a la escuela. That means I have, oops, that's not very clear, have to go to school. All right? So tengo que means I have to. I have to. And then it takes an infinitive. That's an important part. But I have to, and then the meaning of the infinitive. Okay, so estar means to be when we're talking about feelings or location. Okay, so estar means to be when we're talking about feelings or location, and I have a bunch of examples coming up here. So if you wanted to say that you're tired, right, you would say estoy cansado. You would use a form of estar and the word cansado or cansada to say that you are tired. So this is to be tired. Estar contento means to be happy. Estar enfermo means to be sick. Enfermo is, of course, an adjective, so if you need to talk about someone or something masculine, you would say enfermo. If it were masculine would take enfermo, feminine would take enferma. Estar mal is to be bad. Okay, this isn't bad in like a moral sense, but like if you're having a bad day, right? If somebody asked you, ¿Cómo estás? And you're just having a crappy day, you would say, estoy mal. Right? Good. Estar ocupado or ocupada means to be busy. To be busy. Estar triste is to be sad. To be sad. Qué triste. Estar triste. It's so sad to be sad. All right, moving on, down the center column, we have a bunch of terms about cuando. Remember from our recent quiz, cuando means when. So, a qué hora means at what time. At what time. All right, so if I ask you, a qué hora tienes la clase de inglés? I'm asking you, at what time do you have English class? A la una, remember that. A la una means at 1 o'clock. A las ocho, just remembering that we say a la for singular hours, right, for 1 o'clock, a.m. or p.m., and then we say a las for all other hours. So a las ocho, review, means at 8 o'clock. De la mañana means a.m. So if I asked you, ¿a qué hora tienes la clase de español? Por ejemplo, you could say, tengo la clase de español a las 9 de la mañana, to clarify that you don't have Spanish class at 9 p.m., right? Tengo la clase de español a las 9 de la mañana means I have it at 9 a.m. or 9 in the morning, right? So literally this means in the morning. But it's how most of the time Spanish speakers would talk about time happening a.m. or p.m. De la mañana. De la tarde means p.m. or in the afternoon, right? So depending on who you are and you know, kind of your personal sense of things, maybe the afternoon ends at 4, 5 o'clock, right? Maybe 6 o'clock, I don't know. I don't know that there's one hard fixed end time to the afternoon, but when you're talking about in the afternoon, right, from definitely, you know, 1 o'clock, 12:30, right, anytime afternoon, all the way to 4 or 5, maybe 6 o'clock, you would talk about de la tarde. ¿A qué hora comes la cena? Right? If you're maybe, if you're 80 and you eat dinner at 4 o'clock, ¿a qué hora comes la cena? You might say, a las 4 de la tarde, at 4 p.m., right? Maybe. All right, now if you're from Spain or South America or Central America, you probably eat dinner a little bit later than most folks in the US are used to. So you might say, you might use the term de la noche, which also means PM, but it's when we're talking about evening or nighttime hours. So let's say I am in Spain. They often will eat dinner super late, remember, 9 or 10 o'clock at night, all right? And so they might say, if I ask them, ¿a qué hora comes la cena? They might say, a las 9 de la noche, a las 10 de la noche, right? So in that, it's evening or nighttime. All right, our next term, esta mañana, means this morning. Esta tarde means this afternoon. Esta noche means tonight or this evening. It can mean either, right? So esta noche a las 6 or esta noche a las 10, right? You could say this evening at 6 o'clock or tonight at 10, right? They both would use esta noche. Este fin de semana means this weekend. This weekend. So these are all a bunch of terms that you can talk about to talk about when you do something, at what time. All right, let's move on to that next section called las invitaciones. Las invitaciones. All right, look for that first green term under las invitaciones. Conmigo means with me. Conmigo, conmigo, with me. All right, next, contigo means with you, with you. All right, so conmigo and contigo sound a lot alike, and it's really helpful when you get an invitation or you want to give an invitation, right? So and we'll use some of these phrases coming up to talk about invitations, right? But if I wanted to say, do you want to go to the dance with me? I could say, ¿quieres ir al baile conmigo? Conmigo, do you want to go to the dance with me? All right, our next green term is ay, qué pena. That means what a shame, right? What a shame. Ay, qué pena. That's a good one to remember, okay? It's a good one to toss around in class if we're doing, I don't know, some kind of punto and you make a mistake. Ay, qué pena. Okay, genial. I usually translate this as like great, right? If in high school I'd asked someone out to the dance and they said yes, I would probably say genial. Genial, great, okay? It is not cheesy. People say this. This is not like a grandpa word for awesome. This is like a pretty good, useful word to actually use in conversation. Genial, right? You're traveling in Spain and you get the last minute bus ticket, blah, 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 right? You might say, ja, genial, right? If you didn't, you'd say, ay, qué pena, all right? Lo siento means I'm sorry. Lo siento. I don't know what those puppies have to apologize for. As far as I'm concerned, it's nothing. All right, our next term, oye. This means, hey, listen, right? Hey you, right? Oye, listen to me, right? This is something like if we were in class and nobody was listening, I might say, oye, right? Listen to me, okay? Hey, listen up. Okay, here we have qué buena idea. Qué buena idea means great idea or what a great idea, okay? Great idea. Qué buena idea. So if somebody asked you, hey, do you want to do such and such this weekend? You could say, ay, qué buena idea, right? All right, so that's the use there. All right, so these next few terms sound really similar in their meaning, but they're subtly different, okay? So these are 3 ways to ask and accept an invitation. So te gustaría means would you like to? Would you like to? All right, te gustaría means would you like to? Remember that me gusta, right, has that phrase in there. Me gusta means I like, so this is would you like to? To respond to te gustaría, you would say me gustaría. I'd like to or I would like to. All right, so this is how you would respond to te gustaría, sí, me gustaría, etc. All right. Puedes means can you? Can you? Right? Notice how that's subtly different than do you want to, right? I remember lots of plans I had in high school that I wanted to do that I couldn't do, if that makes sense, right? I wanted to spend time with a friend, but my parents said that I couldn't spend time with a friend. So do you want to, would you like to, and can you are two different questions. So te gustaría means would you like to? Puedes means can you? You can respond to puedes with puedo, I can. I can. And our third question here is quieres. Quieres. Quieres means do you want to? Do you want, right? And we've got two in brackets here because sometimes it makes sense and sometimes it doesn't, right? I can ask you if you want something, or I can ask you if you want to do something. And so to is sometimes in there, sometimes not. All right. So quieres means do you want, and then maybe in parentheses or brackets, to. And then quiero is I want, or I want to. All right. So we've got te gustaría, would you like to? Puedes, can you? And quieres, do you want to? All right. Now, would you like to and do you want to are subtly different, but they are different, right? They have subtle differences. Okay. I'm not going to say that they're totally different, no overlap, never used in the same context, but they're different, right? We could say them different ways. So make sure you know which one is which for future testing purposes. All right, demasiado means too much. Too much. Tengo demasiado tarea. Demasiado tarea. I have too much homework. Too much. Entonces, this is a great kind of thinking word to throw in there. It means so or then. So I could use this at the beginning of a sentence, right? If somebody asks me, ¿Quieres ir al baile conmigo? Do you want to go to the dance with me? I might say, pues, or entonces, ya voy al baile con mi amiga, right? I'm already going to the dance with my friend. You know, entonces, so, etc., etc. All right. Entonces means so or then. Un poco de means a little bit of. A little bit of. Do you speak Spanish? Sí, hablo un poco. Sí, hablo un poco means yes, a little bit. If you continued the phrase, sí, hablo un poco de español, yes, I speak a little bit of Spanish. All right, so un poco means a little, un poco de means a little bit of. Sabes means do you know, if it's asked as a question, or you know if it's used as a statement. So if I say, sabes la respuesta, that means you know the answer. If I say, sabes la respuesta, that means do you know the answer? All right, so it can mean you know or do you know? And then last part, yo sé. Yo sé means I know. You can use it like all verbs in Spanish with or without the subject. It's implied because no other subject takes the form sé. So if you say sé, that means I know. If you say yo sé, that means I know. All right. So it's useful you only need to use it if you need to clarify who is knowing, who's doing the knowing. All right. So that should be our whole vocab list filled out. If you could, I just want to make sure that you actually did this screencast. So could you go back to the terms conmigo and contigo and just circle them? I know it seems goofy, but I just want to make sure that people are actually watching this screencast rather than just going to Google and translating all these terms. Okay, after you circled conmigo and contigo, hand in this to the assignment for today, and thanks for watching the screencast. Okay, hasta entonces. See you later.